back to my channel. We are back again for some more Pokemon Creepypastas. Today we're going to be reading I Won't Leave You. I think this one's on the shorter side, but yeah. I'll try not to read super fast, but I kind of tend to forget that and read fast anyway, so I'm sorry. But yeah. Terran is a Sylveon. He is recognized for his pink fur and his ribbon-like appendages and was sometimes even made fun of for his flamboyant, rather girly appearance. He has a very kind heart and is always willing to make friends with the other denizens of the forest and wakes up in the morning with the hope that he would meet somebody new. And on this particular day, he would meet someone special indeed. He walks over to a small pond and starts to lap water out of it when he sees that he's not by himself. He looks up to see a nearby Eevee who was looking down his own reflection in the water, looking like he was on the verge of tears. Terran felt a wave of sympathy wash over him at the sad sight and instantaneously approached the Eevee to console the poor child. The Eevee was noticeably thin, looking a bit like a scarecrow as if he was not used to being on his own. Indeed, he once had a home life with his once loving trainer long ago, but as he found out firsthand, what can be given to him can just be easily taken away. He was left on his own to rot in the woods, and none of it was even his own fault. But the Eevee slowly but surely began to at least accept his lonely disposition, being very modest in nature. The Eevee reaches out to touch his reflected image, which further ripples and distorts his image to his own liking. He cannot understand why he was kept away from having an owner, a home, and a friend. Somewhere not too far away he could hear approaching footsteps, but he naturally ignored them as if he did not notice. After all, why would anyone want to see him? That was when suddenly sees another Pokemon who casted in the reflection behind him with a gentle, sympathetic voice that followed. "Hello, little one. What's your name?" The Eevee turned quickly to reply, but casted his head down. "Loneliness?" The Sylveon gives a confused frown at the very abnormal name. Loneliness? He quickly recovers and offers another warm, fresh smile. "That's a nice name. What are you doing in a big forest like this? There are a lot of bigger, hungrier Pokemon out here who would get to you in a heartbeat." He looks over at the Eevee's fur closely, seeing tear-stained pouts around his eyes and the matted, unkempt fur everywhere. "Whoa, you poor thing. Where are your parents?" he asked sweetly. But behind his grin, he was secretly dreading the answer. "Well," the Eevee who introduced himself as Loneliness again began. "If they would like to dine on my worthless flesh, they most certainly can." He lets out a miserable sigh. "I've been on my own for the past few years, neglected by my own trainer who'd just be thrown away like a broken toy." Warm tears started to fall from the Eevee's cheeks. Tyrion was in utter shock at the strong words, his mouth opening agape with his own tears now forming around his eyes. He reached out to the Eevee with a ribbon tendril wrapping his back. "Oh, my Arceus child, how could you think of yourself like that? Everyone is special and has their own place in this world. No one is more useless than the other." The evolution lies down on his stomach, its eye level with the smaller Pokemon, with tears still in his eyes, with an honest small smile returning to his cheeks. "You are special, Loneliness. No one else can tell you differently." The Eevee's tears finally made their way to the ground, which stained the grass in a dark red color. As it turns out, the poor creature was cursed, but tries to deny it. He looks at the other Pokemon and shakes his head. "But I don't have a place. I serve no purpose. It's a sin for me to be alive. I am special for all the wrong reasons." At this point, Tyrion couldn't take it anymore and takes pitiful creature into a hug, who returns the embrace weeping. Tyrion ignored the stained grass and whimpering openly to his words. "Please don't say that, Lonely. You are not a sin. You are a beautiful creature that deserves as much love as anyone else. I won't think you are hated by everyone else. I don't hate you." He looks into the child's eyes. "That counts, right?" Tyrion closes his eyes again and puts his forehead onto Lonely's and whispers, "Please accept my words." The Eevee continued to cry for a moment, no more, no less. He tries to comfort the flood and different emotions flowing through him, sorrow, relief, and most of all, dreaded fear. It has been difficult controlling himself. The kind words of the other male made him feel like he actually matters in this pitiable existence for once in his life, like he was not some sort of plague that he inclined to believe. He opens his eyes slowly and nuzzles this generous creature, the first and only friend he's had in years. The Sylveon is more than excited to see that he's gone to the thin boy and smiles widely, and happily nuzzles him back. "Loneliness, stay with me, please. Stay with me, and I will love you as much as I can, and I will make sure you never feel sad again," he said, looking down at the little one under him. Loneliness looks up at him. "Stay?" He couldn't finish the sentence, not knowing how. Love him? Never be sad again? The words seemed foreign to him now, not believing them to be true. He looks at the older male to see if he would turn turned out to be pulling his leg, but expression, his tone of voice were genuine. He stares at the creature in silence before his eyes lit up and kisses his newfound friend's nose. Taryn is overcome with joy. At the Eevee's small kiss and started to lick the little Eevee's face repeatedly. Loneliness closes his eyes and smiles, and for the first time in years, as his face is licked. And is that a purr he's letting out? Thank you, Lonely. Thank you for accepting me. I know you won't regret it. He pulls him into another embrace, rubbing his starved belly with his ribbons. After what seemed like hours of this hug, he let him go and looked at the Eevee with compassionate eyes. Otherwise, the Eevee would be more than happy to hug him for the rest of eternity. The Sylveon asked the miner if he would love to play hide-and-seek together, but the Eevee declined the offer. Now would not be the time for that certain game, he thought. Instead, they decided a game of tag, and they both enjoyed themselves, laughing and giggling throughout the whole game, before taking an afternoon nap, with the Eevee called up by his friends and hoping to never be separated. They both woke up early in the evening, stretching a little for their tired bones. It was a warm, brandy night, and the Sylveon looks over at the little prince and asks how he was doing, who immediately responds with an enthusiastic "terrific." Tyrion looks to the pond. "I'm going to catch us some dinner. Be right back," and kisses his friend's forehead motherly before walking over to the body of water. The Eevee moves to where he can see his friend plain in sight, having a mild case of separation anxiety. Tyrion concentrates on the fish in the pond, noticing a few. He was about to pounce when suddenly they swim away frightfully. He looks in the water, curious at what scared him, but the next thing he saw almost made his heart stop. There's a figure beneath the ripple of the water. Its skin was pure, ghastly white color, and it's white across all of its body except for its hands and eyes. Red. It was a humanoid in appearance, having a feminine face, except that its mouth was locked into a broken yaw-like broken jaw. Upon noticing, Tyrion and the figure slowly turned to him, hissing hoarsely and reaching a cold, red arm to him. The Sylveon yelps and jumps back, with the Eevee now running in his direction. He approaches his friend, and his voice shaking from the fright. "Are you okay?" And with interrupted by a sudden and forthcoming rain, a storm gradually growls. Loneliness's curse starts to come back. Having a friend who cared so deeply made him almost forget about it entirely. His left eye starts to bleed, resembling red tears. Terrence starts breathing hard, looking around. What is going on? What is happening? He looks down at the boy. "Oh, my Arceus, your eye!" He quickly takes a nearby leaf and starts to wipe away the blood and looking around fearfully. The Eevee didn't seem to notice that his eye was bleeding whatsoever, and his right eye slowly started to dilate and throb violently, as if it was about to pop out from the pressure, and the rain continues to fall. "They're coming." The older Pokemon notices Lonely's face, becoming scared for the little one, and bends down to his level. Lonely, look at me. Lonely, are you okay?" And he looks at the horrifying changes happening. "Who's coming?" Loneliness looks up to him and shakes his head at his question. No, he's not okay. He has unbearable pain, and he starts to shake and close his eyes to try and ease the pain a bit. His left eye even stops the bleeding as he does. Taryn looks a bit reassured at that until the Eevee opens his eyes, and Taryn's jaw fell to the floor and his heart sank. The small Eevee's right eye was gone, and all there was a mere empty socket, but Loneliness did not appear to notice his change yet. His voice sounded desperate and pained, begging his petrified friend. "They want to take you away from me. Please, don't leave," he pleads. Tyrion grasps at the side of the missing eye, but does not push him away. He has come to know this Eevee too well to abandon him now. He looks around, seeing nothing getting any better, so he picks up the boy with his ribbons and looks at him in the singular eye. "I will never leave you, Lonely, never." With that, he puts the boy on his back and bolts to the woodlands. "If we can get to the nameless forest area, the others can help us, but I need to know what is happening, Lonely. Please concentrate." The Eevee is shaking uncontrollably, just now taking in the fact that he has lost vision in one of his eyes. He puts a paw to his right eye and tries to feel for it, only finding a hollow hole where it once was. His lone eye starts to shed tears from lost vision and from fear for Terran's well-being just as much as his own. He closes his eye and tries to explain. "It all started when my trainer's Raticate died, and that's when they came. They came to my owner, and they blamed me for his death. They tricked him into leaving me, so he did. My trainer left me. He called me a curse. They possessed anyone who came in contact with me. Everybody. They are mere shadows of their former selves, but I'm not a curse." He is then broken by sobbing, no longer even believing it himself. "I'm not a curse." Tyrion turns to look at the poor creature on his back, his eyes from the path ahead of him. "No, you're not. I'm getting you away from whatever the hell is going on. I will not let them hurt you anymore." He turns back around to watch where he's going, but it's too late, and he ran head first into a tree, and he falls to the ground unconscious. When his mind came to, he found that Evie was shaking him, yelling at him, trying to wake up. Tyrion! Tyrion, we need to leave! Wake up, please! His fur was now a chaotic mess, more frayed than it was before, and had many scratches on the and other abrasions across his thin build. At this point, he was in agonizing pain. Tyrion lifts his head up, swearing not convincingly to his friend that he is fine, and raises to his feet. He shakes his head, trying to clear away his drowsiness, but with some success, and takes a glimpse at the Evie, horrified. Lonely? He groans with tears in his eyes before cursing the empty, apathetic sky above him for the suffering it has brought onto the poor child. Damn you, you fucking bastards! He puts the boy onto his back once more, but runs at a slow pace, due to his drowsiness and throbbing pain in his head. Meanwhile, a cut opens on the Evie's head to partially reveal his gray matter. He holds back a scream and weeps into his friend's back in unbearable pain. Tyrion finds it hard to concentrate on his destination as he started to hear obscure words in his head about his friend. Monster. Killer. He tries to clear his mind on these thoughts, but found it to be no use. He looks down at his paws and gasps as he found out that they had become red. He was turning into one of those things that he found in the pond earlier that day, and he lets out another scream. Hate! Hate the monstrosity! He falls to the ground with the Evie in front of him. Abandon him! Make him suffer! His mind screamed at him. No! The Sylveon suddenly yells out and looks at the young Pokemon. The Evie now has his friend's attention. Having a look of surprise as he finds his friend in such a state, he opens his mouth to say something, or to perhaps scream. He wasn't entirely sure which, but it clamped it promptly shut, probably the more wise decision for both their sakes. He sobs, pulling one of the ribbons, trying to make his friend move forward, but it would be too late. You're becoming one of them. You need to listen to me. We need to go to the graveyard. Tyrion starts to get up weakly. Where is it? He asks monotonously, concentrating every bit of willpower he has left into listening and adoring the Evie, but finds it becoming harder to do so with each passing second. Loneliness looks at him woefully. He was receiving his own messages and now realized what must be done. He isn't happy about it. It's in Palatown. We need to go to Palatown. The evolution nods solemnly and is colorfully draining as he starts to argue internally with the voices inside of him. Leave him. No, I love him. Why? He's a walking corpse and a murderer. He deserves no love. Everyone deserves love. His mind starting to rip apart and his eternal struggle causing him pain, but he wasn't willing to give up. Lead. Hurry. Tears running down his face freely, and the Evie starts to walk in their destination. Looking back and making sure his close friend is falling behind him, the rain falling harder and harder with every step towards the town. The Evie says two cryptic words, although he wasn't the one saying them. Lay to rest. Guillotine. Guillotine? Tyrion looked at the boy with hazy eyes and confused on what he meant. What do you mean, Leave him! No! He abruptly shouts, staggering behind but keeps up with the Evie. Not that it was hard to, since the Evie was limping. His bright blue eyes stopped producing tears as they now dawned a crimson shade of red. They were no longer filled with passion or affection, only apathy and malice. They finally reached a town, which saddens him even more. It was too dark for any living creature to be up this late at night. Loneliness remembers what it was like to be here, and that's when he was discovered by his first trainer, given to him by the professor. He was once the chosen, he remembers, after his cousin picked out a Pikachu as a starter. His memory fades as Tyrion asks him a question. Lonely, what do I do? Guillotine, what do you mean? Loneliness does not respond to his question at first, only look at his friends with a lasting left eye and utter silence. Tears were falling at a heavy rate, gazing at his loyal friend for a while before pointing at the grave in front of them. It seems to be new, as if it was just constructed on that spot. Engraved in the stone was the Evie's own name, the missing E and all. He was mute for a few seconds before he spoke out in a hushed sob. They want me. Tyrion was staring at the gravestone solemnly in disbelief. Did you die? He manages to ask before the face became a dark, dead tone, if it wasn't his. If you did, you deserve it, he quickly looked at the boy. No, I didn't mean that. I looked to cause him physical pain as he said that. What did I do? Please, hurry. He fell to his squat and looks around to see if there was any way out of this, if there was any chance that both of them could just walk away together freely. If all of this would just somehow be fake, but he knew that there was only one way out, and that was the way for the Evie to simply tread forward. The Evie stares at his grave in fears of what lies beyond the simple message etched into the stone. He didn't seem to catch entirely of Tyrion's comment, or perhaps ignored the hateful words that came out of his mouth, when he knew it wasn't his. But he turned to his friend and embraces him in one last tight hug. You are the best friend I ever had. He turns, hiding the tears he shed, and walks into his tomb, each step seemed to numb his pain as he walked closer to fulfill his destiny, his ultimatum. The tomb opens up to reveal an abyssal void, whether it was heaven, hell, or somewhere entirely different. Neither of them knew, nor did they question it. They know that no matter where it leads, it was somewhere beyond this life, and that this was their farewell. Loneliness stands in front of the gaping opening and closes his eye. It was in turn followed by a second sound of whipping flesh. A large slit opens around his neck, and he makes a small groaning noise as his head slowly falls off, clean from his shoulders, and tumbles into the box. With the rest of his body soon follow. "No!" Taryn howls, as if voicing his anguish would somehow prevent the macabre ritual to continue. The void closes as it never existed, leaving the grave behind. And on the monument, it now reads loneliness. His name has been complete with him now inside. Put the E where it belongs. Taryn runs towards the grave and soaks it with tears, and he notices that there is now entirely normal, as if nothing out of the ordinary has ever happened, but at the expense of someone else's life. Looking around, he saw no change in the physical world, but one less Evie on this earth. "Loneliness, please come back. I want you. No, I need you with me. You were so innocent, so youthful. It's not fair." He whispered the sky with hatred. "It's not fair, you sick bastards!" This time, the sky did respond back. Somehow, or somewhere, a mad snicker could be heard, and a deep baritone laughter without any humor. He fell to the ground, and in cries for a good hour, muttering words of love and his own misery throughout, and his tears soaked the lid. The cover, he thought. The Sylveon slowly opens the cap, holding that some way, somehow, the Eevee merely waiting inside for him to do so. He looks down at the earthen grave. Inside lies the body of an Eevee peacefully, lifelessly. It was seamlessly intact, and the Eevee looked like it did before the mutilation began. He stared at the figure. Loneliness? But heard no response. The Eevee, closest friend he had ever had, was dead. All he could do is wish that in the world beyond the stone lid, that he was no longer alone. He lies down next to the cadaver and hugged it for the last time, and the limp body still had some warmth to it. "You are the greatest Pokemon I ever knew, Lonely. It was my pleasure to know you while you lived." He carelessly sets the Eevee back down and closed the cover once more, with the tears rolling down his cheeks. He plucks a red rose from a nearby bush and sets it on the stone. He recalls what Eevee told him when they were on their fateful journey. "For a record, you are always right. You weren't a curse." The Sylveon agrees with the now deceased friend, giving the cemetery one last glance before walking away. "You were a blessing." There's a sequel, and Hell Will Follow Me. Ooh, nice. Well, that's fucking depressing. Eevee and its evolutions are one of my favorite, Pokemon team, Pokemon evolutions, and for it to just be like, "Oh yeah, no, here's a Sylveon and an Eevee that literally becomes so cursed that it ends up being ripped to shreds and gruesomely." It's so depressing. But yeah, that was a very interesting one. It's not like most of the creepypastas that I've read is about someone finding a cursed game and seeing all the glitches that happen, and I do enjoy those a lot more because it's somewhat more of a realistic thing that could happen. But this one just seems like any normal nonfiction type story, which I have no problem with. I love reading those type of things, and I write those type of shit, So this was very interesting and very creepy. So yeah, I hope you all enjoyed. And if you're new to my channel, I appreciate the subscribe button, give your thumbs up, and hit the bell so you're notified of videos, which is every Wednesday. I love you guys, and I'll see you guys later. Bye bye.